Can I just ask? I know Mike well, and we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying he goes in the dressing room first game of the season and last game of the season. Other than that, everything's down to you, and he's there if you need to talk to him. Have you got the budget kind of that you would have hoped for to be competitive in the Championship, Jim, from him? Because if not, I'll give him a call and just, bend his lug a bit.
Yeah. Well, listen, good luck with that. But
you know him well as well, then.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm quite a realist when it comes to things like that. I mean, I'm not going to be going in and demanding things in the boardroom when, I think you've got to be realistic. I know there are managers out there that can be quite bullish and demand X amount of money, but I know how the club works. We live within our means. It's as simple as that. And I think the chairman is very fair. This is not a money-making business for him, but at the same time, it's certainly not something that he's going to waste a lot of his own personal money in either. So, I mean, the club pays for itself. It's as simple as that. And any kind of extra money that is there, he's very, very good at making it available to me. So the squad, in terms of the budget for the squad, I can't argue too much. As any manager would tell you, yes, of course, we'd always love a little bit more. But at the same time, I don't throw my toys out of the pram if I don't get what I want or what I think we need. The chairman's quite honest and upfront with me to tell me what's available, and there has been occasions, don't get me wrong, and last January, for instance, the budget was done, and I asked him if we could maybe stretch it a wee bit, and he's always good that way. He always tries and helps me out as best we can. If I can justify it's going to make the team better and make the club better, then he'll always help me out. And that's, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, that's a big reason to why I've come to the decision that I came to, why I wasn't willing to enter the interview process with St Mirren, because I'm at a club I'm really genuinely am very, very happy with, and anybody that hasn't been at the club probably wouldn't understand, but it's one of the most professional clubs I've been at. Forget full-time, part-time, it's one of the most professionally run clubs I've been a part of. And I had an opportunity when I was at St Mirren many years ago, when Hibs came in one of the January windows, and they offered me a better contract than when I was on at St Mirren. But again, I enjoyed working at St Mirren, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think there's a lot to be said about turning up at a place that you like being, that you're appreciated and that you're valued, and that's the way I am with Alloa at the moment. And until that changes, then I'll stay where I'm at.
Can I just ask you, Jim, see that, obviously stepping up the league, it's more competitive, it's going to be harder for you. Does that have a mindset in how many players you need for your squad? Are you kind of working on the same kind of numbers as you did last season?
Well, I think we need more experience. We had a lot of young lads on the bench last year, and without being disrespectful to the younger boys, they weren't ready, and that's why in January I had to go out and get the kind of loan players that I did have, and I probably had, from an ideal world, I probably had too many loans, because sometimes with the Premier League teams, they like to work with their players through the week, and then they give us the players on a Thursday night. And then obviously they play with us on the Saturday. Now you would like to have your full group of players both nights when you're training, and then have them available for the Saturday. So sometimes that's always not ideal, because I like to have the whole group together for both nights, and I think this season that's going to be very important. So I'm trying to negotiate that into the terms with the parent clubs, and hopefully they'll come around to see my way of thinking. It's not always the case, because, like I said, they like to keep an eye on their boys as well. But yeah, I think we need 18 experienced players. Next year, it's as simple as that, and obviously that allows for maybe bringing in a couple of younger ones. But in the majority of it, for me, and I'm not afraid to work with experienced lads. I quite enjoy having experienced lads in the dressing room, and it's worse than its weight in gold sometimes. Last year in particular, my big captain and 3 or 4 other big experienced voices in the dressing room, they can manage that dressing room for you at times as well when needed. Listen,
are you one of those managers, Jim, that you sit down before the season starts and you look at the fixtures and you kind of break them up into periods and think we need so many points in this quarter, so many in that quarter. Are you one of those managers, or are you just a manager that kind of, I know it's an old cliche, just looks to the next game?
Well, I can actually answer that for Jim, because I asked him the same question at Hampden last season. Jim will remember it, because it was at Hampden against Gus McPherson, and I says to Gus, you're in a kind of precarious position at the moment, Gus, you know, do you look and see who's playing? I never look at the league table, he says. I asked Jim, and he went, that's a lot of rubbish, every manager looks at the table. So.
but ahead of the season starting, Jim, do you do it then, break it up into the quarters and see what you can get out of them?
I think, well, look, personally, I think it's important to do it. You know, obviously, in an ideal world, you'd be able to say, oh yeah, well, we'll get a point there and 3 points there, and we all know it doesn't work like that. But I do think it's important to try and set the players' targets. And when I was a player, I quite enjoyed that, you know, of having a target of a certain number of points, and every 2 or 3 weeks you sit down and assess it and think, right, well, this is what we need to get to that target. And I think there is, you know, from our own point of view, next year it's about survival, and I think we need to get 10 wins, and where those 10 wins come from will remain to be seen. But, you know, I'll identify teams where I think we've got a better chance of getting them, of course, but we'll enter every game trying to win it. It's as simple as that, you know. But I think it is important to give the players certain targets and certain incentives, and just keep trying to refresh that in their memory, because I have had experiences as a player in my own career where you kind of get to February, March time, and then you think, oh my God, we're actually miles away from where we need to be, and you run out of time that way, you know. Whereas the thing is, if you keep trying to drip it into the lads, right, okay, look, we're 5 or 6 points off playoffs here, we've got a couple of games coming up in the next quarter where we think we can maybe make that up, you know, and just keep trying to refresh it that way. Sometimes it doesn't work the way you would like it, of course it doesn't, but I think you need to be trying to come up with new ideas all the time just to keep the players on their toes.
Can I quickly ask you, Jim, the new reserve league, obviously you're involved in that. Does that, you know, I'm up at East Kilbride at the minute where it was the under 20, so we've put in a reserve team. Does that help you in any way with your squad now, instead of being younger kids, where you can get guys and come back for injuries or whatever?
Aye, absolutely. I've never been a big advocate of the 20s league anyway. I don't think it's served a good purpose at all. I'm really not one for holding young players back, and I think that 20s league did that, to be honest with you. I think it's so important for any young kid out there to go and play senior football, and that, even if that means dropping out of the leagues and go down to lowland leagues or junior football or whatever. I think 16, 17-year-olds, you need to be out playing 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds playing against 16, 17-year-olds in the same league. They're learning absolutely nothing. I remember my days back at Celtic years ago, playing against the likes of Ali McCoist and things like that when he was at Kilmarnock, and he was kind of coming the tail end of his career. But I learned so much as an 18-year-old centre-half playing against Ali McCoist in one game than probably more than what I would have learned in 10 games against lads my own age, you know, just from movements and things that he was doing. So I like the idea of going back to the reserve league. I also think it makes it easier for managers to to get some of their first-team players, fringe players that aren't probably playing as much. And I don't think it seems as if it's as big a slap in the face to turn around to a guy and say, go and play with the reserves, as it is, go and play with the 20s tonight, and so no, I think it's a good idea. I really do. I think it's a great idea, and it's one that we were big on pushing as well.
All right, mate. Well, listen, thanks for that, and good luck for next season. Give my regards to the chairman, and we'll talk to you as the season progresses, Jim, just to see where things are with Alloa. But I really hope you have a great season. I really do, especially as you've made such a good commitment to the club. And as I say, I find that very refreshing in itself. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us tonight.
Good luck, Jim.
Always my pleasure. Take care, gentlemen.
Cheers. Jim Goodwin there talking to us about his decision not to pursue the interview process and talk to St Mirren with a view to possibly becoming the Buddies' next manager. I mean, I almost wish you were Hugh Burns, because Burnsy's always in here saying to me, if people get the offer, they're going to take the offer. And I'm not blowing smoke, Ali. I love the fact, I really do love the fact that Jim has made that decision.
He's obviously part-time. He's got a part-time job. He's obviously enjoying his work as well as he is with his coaching. He's got a good chairman there that supports him. You could ask the same question with Hoppy if he goes up to the Premiership. What if they could beat the first 6-7 games? But I think the chairman, I think they'll get a decent squad there. I'll not allow that to happen, Bill. So fair play to him, because as he said as well, he's still learning and he wants to learn. He doesn't want to rush into a full-time job, and it might be rabbit in the headlight stuff, what am I doing here? So
I mean, I think the thing that makes it even more potent for me, if I'm honest, is the fact that it's a club that he knows well, St Mirren.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought, and Tony Fitzpatrick being there as chief executive, I would have thought Jim would have been the ideal fit for it, purely and simply because they would be like-minded about St Mirren.
Yeah, and he's not quite far away from Jack Ross anyway, is he? Kind of thing, and maybe I don't know about style of play, but I just think, I'm delighted that they went up, because remember the carry on, with last year, and that I'm not an advocate of the playoffs the way they get done, but they went up via the playoffs this season, so
but that to me justifies the playoffs.
Yeah, well, okay, I know you have this argument all the time, but they get stitched up with Beacon.
You keep having it till you agree with me in the end.
I agree with you, Bill.
But I know you don't now, so...
Is it one of them ones, is it? Okay.
But it is great that he's staying there. And
I'll tell you something, when you're doing a game up there, see the wee steak pies you get, I'm no kidding you on.
Did I ever tell you about...
Absolutely fantastic.
I'll tell you a great story. My grandson, when he was playing for in the Falkirk youth set up in the Forth Valley thing, they were playing at Alloa at the end of drill one weekend, and they were playing across the park. There was 2 or 3 games going on, and it was bitterly cold, and there was a damp fog and everything. And who's there making sure everybody's happy and opening up things and this, that, and the next thing? Mike Mulroney.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely committed to the club.
That's the only thing I would say, Bill. I just wish the people of Alloa would turn out a wee bit more for them, and support them a wee bit more, because they'll not get the biggest of supports, as you know. So just another wee 100, 150 onto the gate would really help them, wouldn't it? And maybe even help them get an extra couple of players that Jim was talking about.
It'd be interesting to see how they fare next season, and I hope it's really well in the Championship.